Okay, hi everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Mystics Table. Today we will be playing session 13 of my Ironsworn campaign. So we left off in a really good spot at session 12. Let's go ahead and do a quick recap. So, let's see. Albrun, he had made it to the end of the delve site all the way to the bottom of Catagon's refuge and met Catagon himself. He was in the room and he needed to figure out how to somehow separate Catagon and the bone horde, that huge monstrous thing made out of skeletal bone, very disgusting. And he managed to be able to have a conversation with Catagon, right? And in that conversation, it turns out that the route that we decided to go in, because we could have maybe tried killing Catagon, right? That's why the elves sent us down here in this delve site, and we were only working with the elves because we need to fulfill our vow to deal with the elves that are threatening Matic, right? So the more heroic approach, I feel like, would have been to somehow defeat or get rid of Catagon. But being who we are, being who Albrun is, he saw an opportunity. Our opportunistic demeanor right there. He saw an opportunity that, you know what? We have a common enemy. Why try to take Catagon out and risk our lives, in a huge fight that would have been with the Bone Horde and or Catagon? And instead, why don't we actually help Catagon break out of this cavern that he's sealed in, and have him deal with the elves? Okay, so we were able to make that deal. And before I continue, I forgot last session. We're going to go ahead and mark progress on our vow to deal with the elves that threaten Matic, because I feel like it's very significant that we were able to come to this understanding with Catagon that when he gets out, it's not even an if anymore, because we've already established that whatever elvish wards that sealed that cavern and sealed the corruption in, we already established that they're failing. So Catagon knows, and we said last session, Catagon, he knows that the wards that are keeping him here are waning. They're diminishing over time. So Catagon is going to get out. It's just a matter of when. With our help, we can get him out sooner rather than later. Okay. But since we came to this understanding, Catagon is going to destroy the elves should he get out, right? Now we don't know if the elves are going to be prepared or not. I think that's what's going to happen here with the moves that we're going to make. But I think it's, like I said, I feel like it's very significant progress that we came to this understanding. He's going to help us deal with the elves. He's going to try to deal with them himself. So we're going to go ahead and mark progress. So that puts us at 4 boxes. Okay, and before we get into session 13, I know that I just introduced 2 new systems last session, but I'm going to introduce an additional supplemental system that I found on the Ironsworn subreddit again, and I think it's actually very, very, very cool. So this system is made by Andrea Lord Lance Parducci, and it's her. She called, or he, I think she, Andrea, yeah, I think she, sorry, I think she calls it the alternative experience rules and the from zero to hero mode for Ironsworn. Okay, and so she basically overhauls the way experience works in Ironsworn. So right now we're playing with the base Ironsworn rules where you only get experience from your vows, but you have to complete your vows and then you get like a huge lump sum of experience. So for instance, if you complete a I think it's I think you get 1 experience for troublesome, 2 experience for dangerous, 3 for formidable, so on. And that's if you get a strong hit on fulfill your vow. I think if you get a weak hit, that experience gets knocked down by 1. So like completing a troublesome vow on a weak hit, you get 0 experience. So and that's cool and all. I think it's pretty cool. As you know, with Ironsworn, I know some people I've seen some people, they don't actually play with the whole swear your vow move. They just play with quests. And so they mark all of their quests and treat them as vows. Then other people, like the way we're doing this campaign, is we have vows and we have quests. So like vows are when, narratively Albrun is, swearing on iron. So that's it has to be significant. Like we're not gonna swear a vow to deliver a package to someone. You know what I mean? Like unless the context demands for it. But you get what I'm saying. Like for instance, in this campaign, we have two active vows right now: dealing with the elves that threaten Matic, and convincing Elder Mystic Matic to go back to Grimbrook to perform his druidic ritual in order to allow them to grow food to eat. Okay, those are two narratively significant vows that we swore on iron. But we also have a quest. Well, yeah, we actually had two quests going on. One of the quests that we still have going on is trying to get back to Grimbrook within that 10-day time limit in order to free or help Overseer Kanara. We didn't swear a vow on that, so we're not going to get any experience from that, but it is a quest that we decided to undertake. So that's like the difference. And then, of course, I feel like this delve site that we just completed was also a quest. We don't get any experience for it. We didn't swear any vows to the elves to, get to the end of this delve site. It's just something that we had to do. It was a quest, okay? Anyways, all that to say, with base Ironsworn, you don't get any experience until you complete your vows. So like right now we have a formidable vow that's going on, and that has taken us quite a few sessions to make progress on. It's probably going to take us a little bit more to get to the complete stage for that. So the entire time that we're working on these vows, we don't have any experience, so we can't get new assets and we can't upgrade new assets. So like Albrun can't learn any like new magic. He can't learn any new skills for the entirety of this. And not only that, but there's also the chance that you get to the end of this quest and you fail on, you miss on your fulfill the vow roll, and so you don't get any experience at all, and you have to re-swear a vow. You know what I mean. So it's just like, I feel like the base rule set is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, but I think it's very hard with the base rules to get experience and to have your character grow. And one thing that Andrea mentions in her alternative experience rules is that the way she designed the system is that it's basically your character can learn while they're doing these vows, and also they can learn from their mistakes. So before I get into that, let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and just tell you what the system is. So for the vows, she added these things called threshold marks. So on a standard vow, you have your 10 progress boxes, and depending on the rank of your vow, that determines how many boxes or ticks that you mark as you make progress in the vow. And so each vow has so many threshold marks. Troublesome, no thresholds. Dangerous, 1 threshold. Formidable, 2, and so on. And these thresholds are placed in between the boxes, okay? So for instance, with our formidable vow, I went ahead and marked the threshold marks. So there's a threshold mark between boxes 4 and 5, and between boxes 7 and 8. And so once you make progress and you pass the threshold mark with your progress, you immediately take 1 experience. Okay, so for our formidable vow, we have 4 boxes, and there is a threshold between 4 and 5. So if we get any more progress, we get to have 1 experience point. Okay, and so basically this divvies up the experience. So for instance, I think with formidable, so for formidable, in the base rules, if you get a strong hit on fulfill your vow, you get 3 experience points. And so with this system, we have 2 threshold marks. So if we can get to box 5, we get 1 experience. If we can get up to box 8, we get 2 experience. So we can get up to box 8 and get 2 experience before we ever have to roll Fulfill Your Vow. And then if we roll Fulfill Your Vow after we've passed after we get to box 8 and we pass box 7, and we get a strong hit, then we get an additional experience. So that's 3 total. So this I want to be clear. This system isn't adding any more experience. It's simply divvying up the experience that we would have gotten. And it's just allowing us to gradually get it instead of getting it in a lump sum. So it's still the same amount. So like I said, Formidable Vow and base rules with a strong hit on Fulfill Your Vow, you get 3 experience. With this alternative experience rules, we can get 2 experience while making progress, and then if we successfully get a hit, I believe a strong hit, then we get that 1 additional experience. So we get the 3 experience that we would have gotten from the base. Okay, I just want to make that clear. Okay, so that's how that works. When it comes up again, you guys will see. We'll learn as we play. Okay, and then one thing, so there's also another system that she has is the 0 to hero mode. And so what this does is it's very similar to the Vow's thresholds mark, except for it's on our bond progress track. So we've marked 4 threshold marks on our bond progress track. So every 2 boxes, so between boxes 2 and 3, 4 and 5, and 6 and 7, and 8 and 9, there's a threshold mark. And so when we pass a threshold mark on our bond progress track, we get to add +1 to any of our stats. Okay, so what this basically facilitates is as we make bonds in this campaign and Albrun is able to just advance as a person and get these bonds and stuff, that's him growing, so we can grow our stats. Okay, and I also want to specify that the maximum for each stat is 4, so we can't keep upgrading our shadow asset. For instance, we can only upgrade our shadow asset, stat once, since we're already at +3, so the max is 4. Okay, so I think that is pretty cool. It allows your character to just get better at doing what it is they do. So I like that. So those are those 2 systems. I feel like I've already spent enough time talking about systems. So let's go ahead and get into session 13. Okay, so let's get into this fiction. So we're down here at the bottom of Katagan's refuge. Albrun is here talking to Katagan. He said, we just made this deal that we came to this understanding that Albrun is going to attempt to take down the elves' wards, and when doing so, Katagan is going to go deal with the elves. So while we're still here in front of Katagan, there's a few things that we need to talk about. So there's a few things we need to talk about. So let's see. So Albrun is going to ask Katagan, he's going to say, if I'm successful, when I remove the wards that the elves have placed, will you feel it? Will you know, or do I need to come back and let you know? And Katagan's going to say no. I will definitely feel it. I've been trapped by these wards for far too long, and I will know when it's time. Rest assured, you will see me when those wards are gone. Okay, so we got that taken care of. And I think also Albrun is gonna then follow up, and this is where we're gonna have to roll, because I want to let the dice decide on how this is gonna go. Albrun is gonna ask Katagan, he's gonna say, what will you do once you've had your revenge on the elves? Where will you go? And I think what Albrun is trying to do here, he's trying to suss out Katagan's endgame, because I think I brought this up last session, but what we're doing here is we are releasing a very dangerous individual into the deep wilds, right? And the entire point of dealing with the elves is because the elves would not leave Matic alone, okay? Katagan is a very powerful threat. So if Katagan is like ravaging across the deep wilds, I don't know if Matic is going to be interested in leaving his home with something like that in his backyard, if that makes sense. So we're almost trading one evil for another. You know, we're trading the elves for Katagan, if that makes sense. So we need to figure out, is Katagan going to continue to be a threat after he deals with the elves? That's what we're trying to figure out. So we're going to gather some information here. We're asking Katagan, you know, what's your end game here? And we're kind of trying to suss him out a little bit. I don't know if he, I guess the hit will do, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens with gather information. So this is going to be plus wits. We don't share a bond, so it's just going to be +2. We're not lying or anything. Wait a minute. Yeah, we're not lying or anything, so it's just a +2. Oh, God. Wait a minute. Okay, that's a 1 on the action die, +2 is a 3, versus a 1 and an 8. Weak hit. Okay, on a weak hit, the information complicates your quest or introduces a new danger. You know what? No, I don't want to burn momentum. Envision what you discover and take +1 momentum. We're already at 10 momentum. Okay, the information complicates our quests. Okay, I think I know what it is. Katagan is gonna say. Katagan's gonna say. My revenge does not stop with the elves of Five lore. I will obliterate every last elf in these woods. Okay. That's not good. So let's go ahead and actually jot that down. Katagan will not be leaving after Fythalor by choice, okay? Okay, so that's not good for us because that is a complication. And what this means is that we need to figure out a way to either get rid of Katagan after 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 Fight the Lore, because that's all we need him for, or we're gonna have to figure something out, because like I said, we're only trading one evil for another, and just because we deal with the elves does not mean Matic is gonna be ready to leave if this Katagan character with a freaking bone horde, an army of undead, is trampling through the deep wilds. You know, Maddox's entire drive is to protect his home. So we have to resolve this. And I think what this means, well, we'll circle back to this real quick. There's one thing that I want to ask Katagan some more. So Albrun, he's not happy to hear that, but he's gonna keep his composure. He's not gonna tip his hand or anything. And then he's gonna ask Katagan. He's going to raise his hands and show Katagan the withering effect, so that his hands are like shriveled and really dry. In fact, they actually are starting to look like Katagan, the way that he looks. You know, that really shriveled, dried, not decaying, but like old shriveled look that he's having in his hands. Okay, and Albrun is gonna ask, what is this? What is this? I think I touched something that I wasn't supposed to, and this has been spreading. What is it, and can you fix it? Okay. Um, it's just like, I think this is. I don't know if this is a gather information rule or a compel rule. I want to say it's compel, because Well, I want to say it's a compel. Is it, or is it gather? We're just asking questions here, but at the same time, we want him to fix it. Well, you know what? First of all, hold on. Let's ask the oracle before we. Yeah. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna ask the oracle, and we're gonna ask the oracle if Katagan can fix it with by himself. Okay. And personally, to me, I feel like that this is almost certain that Katagan, being the ancient husk, mystic turned husk that he is, and the fact that he probably created that urn himself and understands the magic that's using. Because what I'm thinking is that since this shriveled, withered look that we have looks like Katagan, I'm thinking that this preservation magic is what is making us look like this, and it's like kind of like freezing us in time by almost like magically embalming us, if that makes sense, because I think that's how it worked for Katagan. And so I feel like Katagan has a very good understanding of what this magic is. So I think it's almost certain that he knows what this is and can do something about it. So that's 11 or greater. So we roll a 10 or less, he can't help us. Okay? But if anything higher, any 11 or anything higher than 11 means he can. Now we don't know if he will, but he can. Okay, so let's roll. 96. Okay, very, very much so. He can help us, and he's gonna say, "Oh yes, your grubby hands were all over something that you shouldn't have. It's seems like my magic is rubbing off on you. Okay, before we continue, let's see, because we also asked, can he go ahead and fix it? So that is a compel. So before I continue that conversation, let's go ahead and roll compel and see how this is going to go. Okay, so let's see. Compel. So when you attempt to persuade someone to do something, envision your approach and roll. So we're just trying to convince him, so this is going to be plus heart, and we're also going to utilize our sighted asset. When you compel a fellow mystic or mystical being, add +1 and take 1 momentum on a hit. Okay, I definitely don't think I want to burn momentum here, because I'm saving that +10 momentum for something bigger, I think. So we're going to add +1. So this is a +3 roll on compel. Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me get the right dice. Okay. I hope that this is a strong hit. 5 on the action die, +3 is an 8, versus a 4 and a 2. Strong hit. Perfect. On strong hit, they'll do what you want and share what they know. Take 1 momentum. If you use this exchange to gather information, we aren't doing that. Okay. So it's a strong hit. So Katagan is then going to say, "Give me your hands. I can't have you expiring before the grand finale." And so Albrun hands his hands, and Katagan takes them, and he mutters in probably the ancient scold language that we have no idea what it is. And I think Albrun actually, he feels kind of the life going back into, we did say that the his shriveled fingertips and his palms, he was losing feeling in it, so he can feel the life kind of go back into his hands. And as he watches, he can see like that withered prune look is getting fuller. It's going back to the way it's supposed to go. So I can go ahead and get rid of that curse that we had on the urn. It was up to 2 boxes, so it wasn't dire or anything. We had more time, but it's done. Curse has been lifted. Okay, perfect. So now that all of that is resolved, Albrun is he's gonna go ahead and make his. Hold on. I said I was gonna circle back to the whole complication thing. So we rolled a complication. Katagan plans on staying in the deep wilds after the destruction of Fythalor in order to go hurt more elves, because he's very vengeful. I mean, that's literally the personality trait we rolled for him. He's a very vengeful person, so he's not going to stop probably until every last elf in the deep wilds is dead. We don't want that. Not only because I think Albrun himself is not an elf hater. He was raised by an elf. Even though he's not an elf lover, he's not an elf hater, and he doesn't want to help genocide an entire species. You know what I mean? There's that. But also, most importantly, probably what he cares about more is that he understands that Katagan stomping around the deep wilds, you know, is probably going to result in Matic not wanting to leave. And we need Matic to leave, okay? So, as Albrun is making his way, you know, through this cavern again, you know, through these twisting passages and stuff, Katagan isn't with him, but Katagan's will can be felt by all those undead things, so Albrun isn't in any danger. Like, any of the undead things that we have came across, you know, the Varu, the boar, you know, any of that kind of stuff, it's kind of just ignoring us, and like they're kind of just like standing there. Because I think the way necromancy works is that the will of the necromancer kind of is like what is influencing the decision making of these undead things. So they're all kind of pacified, I guess. So Albrun is able to just kind of walk through the delve site. Now, before we leave the delve site, because of this complication, I kind of want to get this urn again. We know that Katagan handed the urn back to the Varu, and presumably the Varu brought it back to the chamber that it was in. Okay. And we do know that the Varu, like the command that the Varu have is to guard that urn. So we can't just take it. Even though they're pacified now, if we were to take it, they would probably not be pacified anymore. In fact, I'll say they certainly won't be pacified anymore. Okay? And we don't want to tip our hand either. We don't want Katagan to think that we're working against him because we just made this deal with him. So I guess the question is, do we want to try to get the urn now? Or do we want to try to circle back and get the urn? You know what? I think it actually might be a better plan to get the urn afterwards, because I think if we manage to get these wards down, Katagan is going to... I don't even think he'll bring the urn with him. I think he's going to take his bone hoard, he's going to take his army of undead whatever stuff that he has. He's going to go be probably so caught up in this vengeance, you know, that he might even leave the urn here, and then the Varu won't be here guarding it. Or maybe they will. I don't know. I guess the Oracle or the rules will tell us about that. But I think we have a better chance of getting that urn when Katagan and the Bone Horde are out of here. Okay? And they already do what we want them to do. So, you know what? Actually, I changed my mind. Albrun isn't going to try to get the urn on his way out. He's thinking about it. It's in his mind as he's passing by that chamber and he sees the Varu, those two Varu guards standing outside of the chamber. But he's kind of filing that away in his head, like, okay, we can possibly get that urn and deal with Katagan after he does what we need him to do. Okay? So we'll just have to keep that in mind. Okay. So now we need to envision our approach. Okay? So I think... So Albrun is he's finally back all the way at the top of this map. And he's about to leave the cavern, the corrupted cavern. You remember all those decaying mushrooms and algae and, you know, and just bleak corruption all around this cavern, and it's like growing. And I want to say, as we actually get to the top in the mouth of this cavern, when we entered, there was like sunlight and we could see and stuff, but now we can really only see the pale glow of the moon. It is nighttime. And before I proceed, I want to go ahead and mark on our countdown box for Overseer Inara. So it has been 3 nights since we left Grimbrook. Feels like it's been so much longer, but it's only been 3 nights. So we have 7 more nights to go before that countdown runs out and her trial happens, okay? So, okay, before we leave this cavern, let's go ahead. Albrun is like thinking through his head, and I think we have 3 solid approaches about this ward business. I think number 1, I think the easiest option is we somehow trick and or convince the elves to take down the ward themselves. Because I want to say, I'm not even going to roll any type of like gather information or not gather. I'm not going to roll ask the oracle on this. Because here's the thing with Ironsworn. I think the book actually says it itself. You can choose the more narratively interesting option. You don't always have to ask the oracle for everything. And so I feel like since we already established in this narrative that there is a difference, there's an inherent difference between Scold based magic and elvish magic. Okay, that's why the elves kidnapped Katagan in the first place and did all those experiments on him. They didn't know what this magic the Scold had brought with them into the Ironlands. They were scared of it. They wanted to know what it was capable of and the nature of it. Back in the early days of Ironsworn or Ironlander settlement. Okay, that's why Katagan got experimented on. Okay, and I also believe that if Scold-based magic was able to somehow interact with Elvish magic on a 1-to-1 ratio, Katagan probably could have got rid of the wards himself, but he can't. And so I'm gonna take that and say that we can't either. Albrun's magic can't just take the wards down. So we're not going to be able to leverage our invoke asset to alter or remove these wards directly. Okay, we don't have elvish magic. We don't understand elvish magic. Okay, so we can't do that. I'm not even going to roll for that. I feel like that's been established in the narrative, and I also think it is more interesting because now it opens up kind of a pseudo quest line where we need to figure out how to get rid of these wards without just trying to brute our way through it. Okay, so like I said, we got 3 options. 1, we convince the elves to get rid of the wards themselves. They put them up, they can take them down. Okay, so that sounds to me like it's going to be some sort of trick, somehow tricking them into doing that. Option 2, we somehow investigate and figure out how the wards work, and then we take them down ourselves with that information. Okay, so that's second information. That's plan B. And then plan C, I feel like this is the nuclear option, but Albrun already knows something that is capable of disrupting elvish magic. The force wave from the Iron Pillar, all the way from the Havens, it disrupted the elvish wards so much so that the corruption was able to spread. After 200 years of a stalemate, the corruption is finally spreading. So that force wave did something to the elvish magic and somehow weakened it, and it continues to weaken it because, like Katagan said, the wards are waning. Katagan eventually will be free. Okay, so we know that this force wave, and we also know that the force wave did something to Katagan's magic as well, because the elves were able, Lady Inara was able to use her divination to see into the cavern for the first time in 200 years. Her family has been trying to do it. So that force wave, the Iron Pillars have some sort of anti-magic effect where they are able to disrupt spells and rituals and such. And so we know that. Albrun knows that. And I think it could be interesting because I think it's pretty likely that there is an Iron Pillar in the Deep Wilds. They're all over the Ironlands, right? So why would the Deep Wilds be any different? Now, we don't know how to control the Iron Pillars, but I think that could be an interesting little side quest to figure out if we're able to activate one. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's plan C. That's the nuclear option. But I think it is something to keep in mind. But I think what Albrun is going to try to do here, I think first off is we are going to try to trick the elves, I think, into taking down the ward themselves. And so, I'm wondering if that's gonna. Okay, let's just hop back into the narrative and see what happens. So, Albrun is leaving the cave, and it's nighttime. Lord Lamatu and a few of his elvish guard are there, right where we left them. They've set up a camp. Okay, they've set up a camp. Um, I think they were getting ready to sleep for the night. Of course, they're sleeping in shifts. So, one of the elvish warriors that was on watch sees Albrun coming out of the cave and immediately wakes all the other elves up and wakes Lord Lamatu up. Lamatu stands and comes to meet Albrun, okay? And Lamatu immediately is going to say, "What happened? Were you able to deal with Katagan and the threat that he has in there?" And Albrun is going to say, Albrun's also going to, so we're going to lie, okay? Albrun is going to say, no, I wasn't able to defeat Katagan. And I barely survived with my life. But I gravely injured him, and he has sealed himself away with wards that I understand. I don't understand. I think he somehow used your wards. I think he's been studying them. I think he's figured out how to use elvish wards. I don't understand how that works. So I wasn't able to do it. I need someone to teach me how elvish wards work and how to take them down. Okay. Okay. This is a compel. This is a compel. This is a compel with a lie. This is a compel with a lie. Okay, so we're gonna roll plus shadow. We're gonna also utilize our trickster asset because we are definitely lying here. So that's gonna be +1. So we're at +4. And our demeanor, our opportunistic demeanor. So I think this is gonna be the first time we get to utilize this demeanor asset, or not asset, system. You are quick to adapt your actions based on what is expedient or effective, regardless of ethical principles. Or virtue, add +1 to your move. You utilize an ethically questionable approach to obtain a benefit or resolve a situation. So I think we absolutely can use our opportunistic demeanor here because we are being very unethical. The elves sent us in there to deal with Katagan. We cut a deal with Katagan, and now we are betraying the elves. So I feel like that is opportunistic in nature. And so we are going to take that +1 from our virtue. So what are we at? +5? Yeah, +3 shadow, +1 on our trickster asset, and +5 for opportunistic. Period. Okay, so this is a +5 roll on compel. Okay, 2 on the action die, +5, 7 versus a 4 and 8. Oh, come on. Not a strong hit. Okay. Brick. Weak hit. As above, but they ask something for you in return. Envision what they want. Okay, so as above, they'll do what you want or share what you know. Take 1 momentum. Use this exchange to gather information. Make that move now. Do we want to burn momentum? I said I was saving my momentum for like a very important point in the narrative, and I think that let's see. On a strong hit, they will tell us how to get rid of these wards. On a weak hit, they will still tell us, but they ask for something in return. Oh God, I think we should take the weak hit because we're gonna learn the ward. We're gonna learn how to do it anyways. It's just they're gonna ask something for us in return, and I don't know what that is. I think we're gonna roll on the oracle table. I think action and theme. I think action and theme, just to get an idea of what could they want. Because I'm trying to think. I don't know what they would want from us. They teach us how to. Maybe they ask us specifically like, hey, we want you to kill Cardigan, because they never said it, but maybe now they're ready to say it. You know what it is? I know what it is. Oh crap! You know what it is? I think I know. You know what? We're not even gonna ask the oracle. I think I know what this complicated thing they ask us for is. So Lord Lamont is gonna say, that's interesting. He's mastered. He's mastered the elvish wards. That's not good. We will have to talk to Lady Anula. She is our expert on wards. She's the one responsible for maintaining the wards around this vile place. We'll have to speak to her. Okay, so I know what the complication is, but let me go ahead and jot this down. Okay, guys. Oh God, I know what the complication is. This isn't good, but that doesn't mean not all is lost. Okay, I know what the complication is. I'm gonna wait to tell you guys until we can talk to Lady Nula. Okay, so I think what we're going to do here is I feel like we are. Let's see. So the elves have made camp here. We don't need to make camp. I think we're gonna try to sojourn. I think we're gonna try to sojourn through the night, and we're gonna. The plan is Lord Lamatu has informed us. The plan is we're gonna go back to fight the lore in the morning and talk to Lady Anula. So I want to try to sojourn and try to heal up and do some stuff. So let's go ahead and roll sojourn. When you spend time in a community seeking assistance, roll plus heart, and we don't share a bond. Okay. So this is just a straight up +2 roll. 3 on the action die, +2 is a 5 versus, oh, seriously? 7 and 8? These elves are so rude. That's a miss. Okay. What happens on a miss? On a miss, you find no help. Pay the friggin' price. Okay. What's the price here? I think I know what the price is. So Albrun goes ahead and he finds somewhere to lay down for the night. The elvish warriors paid him no heed. Lord Lamatu, he talks to a few of his warriors, informs them of the plan of how we're going to leave in the morning to go back to fight the lore, and, talk to Lady Anula and stuff. And then he's going to go ahead and go back to bed as well. And we find no solace. The elves, they don't even bother trying to give us a tent. None of them are willing to talk to us by the campfire. And they don't even feed us. So Albrun has to use some of his own supplies to kind of, keep himself warm throughout the night, to go ahead and eat. And he's not able to relax because he's still injured from the shoulder and doing this delve. He's very tired, so he doesn't even really get a good night's of sleep. So we are going to go ahead and suffer 1 supply, I think, for pay the price. So we are down to +1 supply, and we get no bonuses. So that was a horrible night. But we wake up in the morning, sun is up. The elves break camp, they pack up their tents, Lord Lamatu gets on his gaunt, and we all make our way back to fight the lore. And as we break, it's a very thick tree line, of course, we're in the deep wilds, but, eventually we see the sycamore trees of Fythalor. We see the elves up in the trees, on their guard duty and stuff. Lord Lamatu is, signaling to them, and we are able to make it through. We get back into the beauty of Fythalor. There's elves out in the clearings, by the small creeks and stuff, and, doing their morning business, chatting with each other, getting water, the children are playing, etc., etc. We make our way to that building that we had arrived in when we first came to by the lore, with the beautiful glass windows and stuff and the wind chimes. That is Lady Anula's base of operation. Okay, and Lord Lamatu leads Albrun into the building, back up. Lady Anula um, is standing in there in the room with all the wind chimes and big windows and stuff, and she's facing the window, looking at the rising sun. Kind of just standing there in her silk dress and her beautiful wooden jewelry and stuff. And before we even say anything, Lady Anula says, "Katagan still lives. I know this." And Albrun is going to say, yes, he does. I was able to injure him. I was the dagger. And, this is a good point. I actually forgot to mention this last session. You remember that dagger we used to pry off that tablet, that stone tablet with the wards that allowed us to disrupt the warding for the Bone Horde? If you guys remember, I was so hesitant to use that dagger because the way we rolled, we had to pay the price, and I never specified, but I wanted to say that the dagger actually broke, that us doing that broke the dagger, okay? Because you remember, we lost one supply from that, so I forgot to say in the narrative that the dagger broke. That's why I didn't want to use the dagger, but we had to. But the dagger's broken, and so Albrun actually takes this dagger and he says, "I was able to use the dagger Lord Lamatu gave me to gravely injure Katagan, but I could not finish the job. He sealed himself deep in the cavern, and he used elvish wards to do it. And I simply don't know how to... I don't understand elvish wards." And Lady Anula is finally going to turn around and she's going to actually come up to Katagan. She's going to take the dagger and she's going to inspect it. And remember, she's a seer. So I'm wondering if she believes us or not. You know what? I feel like we already rolled Compel. And we got the weak hit. And we are going to learn these wards. So I don't think I need to roll another Compel. I don't know how much she believes us, but I think she's going to say, I think I know what this is. I think she's going to say, "So you need to learn how to take down our wards," is what you're saying. And Albrun is going to say, "Yes, if you want me to finish the job and kill Katagan, I will have to learn how to get into that room. I'm sure that you can't do it, as you won't be able to reach him because of the wards he placed." And Lady Anula is going to say, "Yes, but we are not fond of the idea of teaching an outsider our ways. Albrun, you say Katagan is gravely injured and he's trapped. He sealed himself off." Albrun nods, and she's going to say, "Well, you can remove Katagan's wards, can you not?" Okay, Albrun is going to be a little questioning, but he's going to say, "I think I could." And Lady Anula is going to look at Lord Lamatu. She's going to look at one of her elvish handmaidens that is kind of in this area that attends to her, and she's going to, kind of signal at her, and the handmaiden is going to leave the room. She's going to say, "Well then, it is decided. I will be coming with you, and you will take down Katagan's wards, and I will take down, and I will deal with the elvish wards that he has placed in the cavern once you have removed his wards. Okay, that's the complication. So the it was a weak hit on Capel. They do what they they do what you ask, but they ask for something in return. So they're not going to teach us the wards, but Lady Anula is going to do it herself, and we can probably learn from watching. But the complication is that now we have to take down Katagan's wards and let the elves in. Okay, and this is bad because, well, let's go ahead and get back into it. And Albrun knows that he's not going to be able to convince her otherwise. Like he can see that she's already made the decision, and I think he can see that she's a little distrustful of him. I think because she's a seer, and she was probably actively divining as he was in there. So I think that in her head some things aren't adding up, and that's why she wants to do this herself. She wants to go see Katagan for herself, and we are not going to be able to convince her otherwise. Okay, this is a complication. Albrun unfortunately is going to have to agree, and so I think that handmaiden, she's going to come back. She's actually going to have some supplies for Lady Anula, probably some elvish light armor that she can kind of slip on, and I think a spear, a short spear, not like a long one, but just a short spear that she can go ahead and have arm herself. And I don't even think Lord Lamatu is gonna protest. I think Lady Anula, once she has her mind made up on something, she has her mind made up on something, and so. But and here's the complication. Here's the issue. As we are leaving Fight the Lore again, Lord Lamatu is gathering a lot more warriors. So, okay, I think this is an Ask the Oracle thing. I think we need to ask the Oracle, how prepared are the elves going to be? Because this is the complication here. We weren't able to learn the ward ourselves to let Katagan out and let him just like take the elves by surprise. And I think that is a complication on this plan, because I think if Katagan was able to, be unleashed upon Fight the Lore and it was a complete surprise, I think he absolutely would have wiped them, obliterated them. But now the elves understand. They don't know, but the thing is, what I'm saying is, if how prepared the elves are, I think that this is going to be a confrontation. I don't think it's going to be as easy as getting rid of the wards and Katagan just goes into Fight the Lore and wipes everything. It just depends on how prepared the elves are. So I want to ask the Oracle, is Lord Lamatu going to get like, a battalion together, I guess? Because Lady Anula is coming with us. So I actually think, it's actually unfortunate. I think it's almost certain that Lord Lamatu, well, yeah, I think it's almost certain that Lord Lamatu is probably going, oh, frick. I think it's certain that Lord Lamatu is going to gather the strength of Fight the Lore to escort us and Lady Anula back to the cavern and to be prepared. Because if we're able to take these wards down, they're probably going to come down there with, oh, frick. I think that's the complicated. Okay, I think we're going to ask the Oracle. Okay, I think it's almost certain that that's what Lord Lamatu's plan is. I don't see, yeah, I think that it's almost certain. So, 11 or greater, unfortunately, a war band of elves is going to travel with us. If we get a 10 or less, we'll see. 67. Okay. Unfortunately, Lord Lamatu is going to gather the strength to fight the lore. Of course, some warriors are going to stay behind to guard the settlement, but honestly, Fight the Lore recognizes that the main danger that they have been in forever has been this corrupted cavern. And so, how many elves is that? Oh, God. We said Fight the Lore was an outpost, so it's not like it's an entire city. but I would say that's probably 20, 20, 20 elvish warriors. Yeah, I think that's a good number. So Lord Lamatu and 20 elvish warriors and Lady Nula and Albrun all make their way back to Katagan's refuge. And I think that is where we're going to end this session. Sounds like we got a confrontation waiting for us, but it should definitely be interesting. Okay, well, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you in session 14.